Okay, we're ready to go.
Okay, I'm Karen Ward Reimer, Chairperson of the Leawood Parks and Rec Advisory Board, and I am going to call to order the Advisory Board meeting for Thursday, April 15, 2021. I will do a roll call attendance now, and I'll call your name and please state here. Kim Gilbert.
Kim Galbraith, member of the Advisory Board.
Jolynn Hobbs.
Here.
Thank you. Gary Swanson.
Here.
And Greg Williams.
Here.
Thank you. We will start into item 1, approval minutes from the March 11th, 2021 meeting. Are there any questions or statements about that? Any corrections that anyone saw?
No.
If not, do I hear a motion that we approve the minutes from March 11th meeting?
I move that we approve.
Greg
the
Williams,
minutes.
I'll make the motion. Yeah.
Dylan
Okay.
Hobbs, I'll second.
Okay. Greg moved and Jolynn seconded to approve the meetings. We'll do a roll call vote. Jolynn Hobbs,
Aye.
Greg Williams. Greg Williams,
Aye.
Kim Galbraith,
Aye. Whoops, am I muted?
Aye.
and Gary Swanson.
Aye.
Okay, it's been approved and moved that the minutes from the March 11th meeting have been approved. So we'll go to old business. A, are we ready for that, or do we want to go into
Hey,
some?
I think she's still getting ready, or trying to get in here. So Holly, are you ready for your staff report by chance?
Roger that.
Okay, go for it.
Holly York, Cultural Arts Supervisor. So we talked a little bit before the meeting, but next Friday, April 23rd, is the art dedication for Women of the World at the Justice Center. And if it does rain, we do have a rain plan. We can luckily go into the municipal side of the courthouse. We're not going to go to the police side because there's some training going on, so we'll go into the court side. The art dedication for Inspiration was moved to September 10th, and that is so that Rita Blitt will be able to attend. But another very exciting thing that's happening on May 21st is we're going to have the Kansas City Symphony back out. And in the fall, they played a concert at the North Field on Tomahawk Park. So it's the corner of 119th and Roe. So they will have another free concert May 21st at 6:30 p.m. and it'll last about 45 minutes to 50 minutes. And the selection panel for the art for the new pool house and multi-purpose building, it's going well. We have heard from 3 artists and plan to vote next week. So we should have a decision on which artist to go with really soon. And that'll go through the process with API, Arts Council, and then the governing body. And then we are wrapping up our art master plan with Plaid Collaborative. And there's a work session scheduled for May 17th on that. Art summer camps are going really well. One of our camps, Art Parties, sold out. All of the other ones have at least met their minimum requirements. And the art instructor for that is a woman who is just graduating from KU with her art education degree. Also this summer, the Leawood Stage Company is putting on Seussical out at Ironwoods Park, and that'll happen around mid-July. So we'd love to see you out at that. And everyone's booked for the Grinnin' and Groovin' series in June. That's Tuesdays in June, Tuesday mornings at Ironwoods Park. And we're gonna have Cinema in the City at the amphitheater behind Leawood City Hall. We're gonna be showing family films, The Little Rascals on June 11th and Babe on July 30th. Those will be nighttime movies. And then we've got some adult concerts in August as well. Everyday Strangers and the Latin Jazz Orchestra, and those will both take place behind Leawood City Hall. And then we'll have a children's concert in August. That will be at Ironwoods, and that's Uno, Dos, Tres, Andres. And I think that gets me through spring and summer. Does anyone have any questions?
Holly, it's Jolynn. On the Kansas City Symphony, is it in the same location?
Yeah, so that'll be the north field of Tomahawk Park. So kind of where Walking Woman is, they have a mobile music box stage. So they'll set up in the parking lot. Get there early if you want a good spot, especially near the soccer fields. Otherwise, I would suggest parking over at the Justice Center and walking over. And we have put in a request for PD to help with traffic control.
Thank you, Holly.
Mm-hmm.
Holly, Chuck Sipple, City Council. The scope of the work that the artist is going to do at the new pool house, what are they going to focus their attention on?
All three artists have proposed, they're all glass artists, and there's going to be a half wall sort of behind the admissions desk.
Okay.
So you check in at the admissions desk. Behind it, there's a half wall, and then there will be a glass. It will look two-dimensional, but it'll be on a pedestal on a wall. So you will be walking around the sides of it, and it'll be in a tempered glass frame. It's all going to be protected, and then the other spot we've identified is at the multi-purpose building, and sort of that glass entrance, there's panels at the top of the entrance, and they've all proposed sort of different art glass that are at the top of the panels above the doorway.
Well, the reason I ask is that some time ago, on a number of occasions, Brian has indicated that we might do something on the roof of the bicycle building, you know, put a wheel up there or an old bicycle or something to denote that the building is bicycle related. I just wondered if that's in the scope of what the artists are going to be looking at.
It is not at this moment. It's the proposal was just for those two buildings, the pool house. And I think the glass is good there. I'm not entirely sure a glass art would work at the bike hub, but I know art for the bike hub is on my radar, and trying to find sort of that right artist and artwork to fit that.
Okay, just as long as it's on the list. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, Holly, since you're done, Chris, are you ready to start with regular agenda items?
Has Kim given her report?
Kim has not yet. I don't see Kim on here unless she's unnamed. I think that's Gary. I think Kim's she was at first tee, so she's gonna be late.
Oh, okay. Sure, we can go ahead and then maybe she can get on afterwards. I kind of forgot about that. Sorry.
No worries.
All right. Chris Claxton, Parks and Recreation Director. Sorry, I'm a few minutes late. So as far as the city park upgrade, as far as project, I know Holly just spoke about the art piece. We've gone through all of the approvals. So right now we're waiting to get to 100% of plans. We met a couple weeks ago at 65%, went over some of the audio visual stuff, door, starting to get into the weeds a little bit more in terms of door locks and some things like that, just making sure all of those items are going to be part of their plans. Right now, I think we're looking to maybe get this out to bid. I want to say, let me think about where I'm at. If not the end of May, probably around the first part of June. So we're still on target as far as that. And then everything will just kind of start falling into place depending on, once we get a general contractor on board. So I don't know if anybody has any other questions about that. We did, just kind of an FYI, we did run into a little bit of a problem, not with the design, but actually with our filters. We are going to be replacing those filters with the new building. We did have a little bit of settlement back in that area. It could have been from a couple years ago when we had some problems with a pipe bursting underneath. We were a little concerned about what that repair might cost or look like, but we've been able to work with Douglas Pump. They do all of our repairs. Actually, their main purpose of this is to raise that filter so that we can brace it, because we want to make sure that when the system gets charged, it can hold the water. And we've had a structural engineer out, we've had our pump company out, we've had our both our current aquatic contractor out, and also the one that's going to be working on the project. So we think we're in pretty good shape. So that was a little bit of a concern, because we can't do it now. It has to be done when the project's done. So we couldn't just go in and change those filters. So the new filters will be a little bit smaller and they'll be much more efficient. So just kind of a heads up on that.
Okay, any more questions on the upgrades for the project? How about moving to item B, updates on designs of the new park maintenance facility?
Okay, so the Parks Maintenance Facility is going for approval to the Planning Commission on the 27th, so in a couple of weeks. I know that they talked about it Tuesday night during the CIP. We're trying to manage, all of this increase that's going on in the construction trade, particularly with wood. That building doesn't have a ton of wood, but we're trying to work through it. So that's happening. I know Brian's looking at some other options, including whether or not they could afford to do any solar panels. I don't know if he's addressing that right now or not, whether that could be an ad alternate, but it's pretty expensive, and he's not real sure, about the payback on that. So they're working through it. He and his team have put a lot of time meeting with PGAV, who's the design architect. And they did have their Interact meeting Tuesday night. They had no one come on the meeting. So that'll be part of the Planning Commission report. So no objections from any residents or any businesses that would be located near the facility.
Any questions for Chris? Okay, let's move to item C, update on the trail project, City Hall to Tomahawk Creek Trail.
Okay, well, we are desperately waiting to hear from Wildlife and Parks on our earlier grant request to see if they are going to provide any money. We also, last Friday, submitted a request to KDOT as far as their transportation grant. We had good input from some of the council members. We had good input from some of the businesses, of course, Town Center Plaza, Town Center Crossing, American Academy of Family Physicians. Let's see, of course, the mayor. We've, good support from people. Lori Hamilton, of course, that used to be on Park Board. She was representing the Tomahawk Creek condominiums as an avid trail user. So that will probably be about a month before we hear from KDOT. In terms of hearing from the state, we really think we'll be hearing something next week. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that we get some money. That project's at 1.2 million. And anything that we can get in terms of funding is going to be greatly appreciated. So any questions on that?
If not, let's move to item D, update on fish stocking program.
Okay, so I I think they've already done the stocking. If not, they're going to be doing it this next week. Not to be repetitive, but that will be taking place at the North and South Lakes, as well as the City Park Pond. Now, the City Park Pond, we're only going to do catfish. The other will do a mix of 3 or 4 different varieties from Raccoon Valley Fish Farm. And they will actually be doing the work, but Dustin's overseeing that. So we're pretty excited about that. We're going to get a lot better fish over time. Of course, we're catch and release. So, you know, they will be able to go back into the ponds when they're done and get, you know, get to grow bigger. We're also getting some smaller minnows and things so that the fish will have small things to feed on so that they can grow. So any questions on that?
Yes, Chuck Sipple, from the City Council. You're going to stock the 3 ponds along Tomahawk Creek and the pond at City Park and the pond at Ironwoods Park, or am I
No.
mistaken?
Yeah, so we are not going to stock the middle lake because, as you've noticed, it's extremely low right now. And so we will not do that right now. We will not do Ironwoods until that project is complete, because we're going to be draining it down to take the silt out anyway. So that won't happen until that project's complete. So that probably won't be till next spring, early summer.
So just 3 ponds.
Yes, north, south, and City Park.
Thank you.
Speaking of Ironwood Park, is that an agenda item? Will we be speaking to that specifically?
I'm sorry,
If not,
is that project an agenda item?
will we be speaking about
Yeah.
that tonight? Yes?
Well,
Okay, I'll wait.
no, it's not an agenda item tonight, but we can talk about it. The project, as you know, was approved by the council to be bonded. And that right now includes the bridge, the silt removal, also cleaning out that the creek there because it's silted in over time. So we'll be getting rid of that low water crossing as well. And also
Right.
that overflow.
Right. The reason I'm asking is I was out walking that again recently, and my husband happened to be with me, and he asked a very good question. He said, as I was explaining to him where the bridge was going to go and all the work was going to be done, and he wondered, would the bridge be put in first perhaps so that the rest of the work can continue without having to have that loop closed for, ages? And I thought that was a valid point, that maybe if we got the bridge in, that some of that work could be done I guess afterwards it doesn't, that otherwise that whole loop, people have to turn right around, or I guess you can cross it. They can loop through in front of the cabins or something of that sort. But I thought that was a good thought, is if what am I trying to say? The bridge can go in first and a whole bunch of that work can happen second. Just a thought.
No, I mean, that's an excellent question. Honestly, I don't know the answer. My assumption would be the very first thing they're going to do is they're going to get rid of the silt. But that's something we'll discuss with our engineer and also with our contractor when we get ready to get things bid out and see what the process would be. And we can certainly talk about that. So I'm glad you brought it up so that we can make sure we have that conversation with them when the time comes.
Yeah, as you can well imagine, it's not just that park, but that loop, that upper loop gets used a lot. And so the thought of it being closed any longer than it needs to be closed, of course, it's going to have to be closed for a while there. But if that could be put into consideration, we'd appreciate that. Me and a whole bunch of other people.
Sure, understood.
Chris, Chuck Sipple from the council. Just a follow-up question. Julie prompted my idea. is the contractor that's going to build the bridge and or the contractor that's going to dredge the pond be driving big dump trucks down to the east end of the pond? And what route are they going to take to get there? Because we don't want them to go through the south or just on the north side of the lake. Are they going to go all the way around the north side, or how are they going to get there?
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that either. They'll do whatever's going to be the most minimally invasive to the trail and also to the ground. I will say the bridge comes constructed. So basically what happens is they come in, they'll have to build the abutments, which are the concrete abutments, and then they'll place the bridge with a crane. So that's not a very long process once the bridge gets here. But yeah, we'll certainly look at that and see what like I said, what their best route will be, because we're not interested in, having to repair a bunch of things that.
Can they come in from the east side? Can they come in from the east side, or is that not our property?
They could possibly come in. It just depends on where they're going to spoil everything. And also, since that eastern half, if you know that property that we have, the 45 acres that's behind, oh gosh, not Camden Woods. What's the other one that
Leebrook.
Yeah. And then on the north side, it slants down, and then that's where the floodplain is that runs along the creek there. So, they'll have to make sure they can get in there when it's not wet. So that'll all be something we'll talk with the contractor once they're selected.
I suppose this just popped in my brain too, but it might be another opportunity to name a bridge. Sometimes we look for opportunities. I mean, I don't know that we're looking for an opportunity. I mean, we talked about MLK and that kind of thing. So I think we were thinking about that behind City Hall. But if there was somebody we wanted to honor, it's just the thought for the back of our minds.
Sure. Yeah. Let me make a quick note on that. I'll probably remember, but just in case.
Thank you.
Yes. Karen, I thought I might go ahead and add one more piece of old business if I could. Won't take very long. So we're also working diligently with the Leawood Foundation for this flush restroom. And we'll be bringing an agreement to the council pretty quickly for the engineering work to be done there. Of course, Dave lays on that with us, and we're hoping to work with Continental. As most of you know, they've done a lot of work down in that area already, including surveys, and they're familiar with all the ponds. And so that would be happening. I know that Alice Hawk has met with the principal contact with McCarthy. They met Wednesday. Let me think what today is. I think it was yesterday they met, and they seem very interested in helping us in some way. It may be just doing the site work, but that can run in excess of $100,000, which would be more than they would probably give, if they gave money, we would probably get a lot more value out of them doing the site work for us. And that's what they do. So we're working to get that done. And as you recall, that was one of the projects that got postponed last year. So we've been working closely with the restroom people. That particular restroom that they're building will be coming from Oregon. So yeah, we've got several projects that are on the fast track right now, and that's one of them.
You said McCarthy doing the wastewater treatment plant?
Yes.
Also? Yeah,
Yes.
So they've been disturbing Leawood in a great way. So that's awesome that maybe they'll, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Have you
Well,
been
and
to that thing lately? Oh my gosh.
I know.
From the highway. Oh my gosh.
Every time I go by, it seems like there's more stuff, but they've been, really early on, they always said they wanted to try to do something for Leawood. They talked about doing something up at Old City Hall, but honestly, I think this would be a much better project and more valuable in the long run. So they've been willing to do something. So we're hopeful that we'll hear something from them next week. So that's good news on that.
Is that all of your items under old business, Chris?
I think so, yes.
Okay, let's move on to 3, new business. Agenda item A under there is update on the new fire station #1 project.
Okay, and the reason I put this on there was just, I know there's some question about that. Most of you may know, or some of you, particularly if you live up north, Jolynn and others, and of course the council would know that the governing body did approve that plan week ago, April 5th, 2 weeks ago almost now. So they're going to be moving forward. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, either Julie or Chuck, I think they're working diligently, hopefully to break ground in September, if not sooner. Maybe you can shed some light on that if I'm incorrect, but most of you know it's now a one story with 4 bays, kind of a prairie looking design. And I know that staff, not me, but other members of the city staff, Public Works, Brian and Dustin and planning have really put a lot of time and effort into that, as has the city council over the years. I think we started talking about that 2014, early 2014. Does that sound right? So I think it's going to look great and really serve North Leawood well. We did have a question from the Historic Commission wanting to know about the park. Particularly, they wanted to know about Old City Hall because they were wondering when they might be able to start fundraising. And I said, I wouldn't look to get into that maybe until the first part of 2023, because there's still some decisions that the governing body needs to make, not just with the park, but with, former City Hall and the old fire station. So I don't know if anybody has any other questions about that, but that's what I know. And certainly if Chuck or Julie know more.
I was just going to say, is the city going to put a picture of what the new fire station is going to look like on the website? Just FYI, so people that are driving around can see what it's going to look like and where it's going to be on that big piece of ground that we have up there.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, I will make a note of that and I'll ask Ross to do that.
Okay.
New FS #1.
So I think DeGaspery would probably have a nice rendering to put out there.
Sure. Yeah. He actually had, it'd be nice to put all the different sides of the elevations, particularly probably the west and the south elevations, because the north doesn't really have anything, except where the help me, not the air compressor, the condensing units and all of that. Generator is what I was trying to come up with, generator. And then the back is just, the back is mainly just the pass through there and the parking. So, but we were able to share, Dave did when we talked with the governing body, David Lay, for people that if they didn't want to have training sessions or they had a bigger HOA meeting, that's when they could certainly use the new facility at the pool, which, as you know, would hold up to 80 people. So be a nice venue if they didn't, if there was any sort of a conflict or their size was too big to be in that meeting space.
I might say real quick for those other members on this, I think this was another example of a stellar example of the city of Leawood being innovative and very responsive to the neighbors. We've got a little bit of pushback. Of course, we always get a little bit of pushback, but I mean, for that building to go from 2-story down to 1-story and buying the property to the south, I think that was just an inspired idea. And for the handful of naysayers, I think, again, long-term, we always try to think very long-term here. It was exactly the right thing to do. And A plus again to the city for listening. The process works. To me, the process works. And this is another example of that.
And I second that, Julie. I was in a lot of attendance and involved with that effort.
Agreed.
And I thought the city of Leawood did an excellent job. Of course, my concern is with those historic buildings sitting on that site. And so I know that I had attended a city council session where it was approved that the original city hall building would sit on that site. And I am hopeful that our city council will see the value in those historic buildings and the history of our city. So I will be waiting to hear the update on that.
Well, definitely one, and then the million-dollar question is whether it'll be part of the fire station. But I think people have committed to the old city hall. But the fact that we don't have to move the city hall more than once or maybe at all was an integral part of that decision. And again, it was an inspired thought to buy the property to the south and push everything over to the south. And yeah, so for sure, I think I don't know of any other commitment not to at least save City Hall. And I'll be right there with you, Jolynn, fighting to save part of the old fire station. But I'm only one vote, but I'll be right there with you, trying to do
Thank you,
something.
Julie, I appreciate it. You know, we sometimes only have one chance to get it right. And
We say that a lot around here. That's exactly right.
yes. And so those buildings are an important part of our history for the city of Leawood. And so,
yeah,
I appreciate
I couldn't agree. I couldn't agree more. But I'll be right there fighting for you, fighting with you.
Thank you, Julie. I appreciate that.
Okay, so that was new business. We're ready for staff reports. Kim, we have heard from Holly. So if you're ready, if you don't mind, since Chris is not on here, going ahead and do your staff report.
Absolutely. Sorry I was late. We are off and running. The first tee started last week, and of course I had one rain out, so I was out there. So we have our beginner classes are full on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So it's great to have that. As you can see, I'm sitting in the office of the lodge, and this thing is open for business. Coming back at the end of April, I believe it's the last weekend in April is our first event back. So that's pretty exciting. As a matter of fact, it was a year ago, or a little over a year ago now, that we installed our LED lights. If you all remember that project, we haven't had a chance to use them other than tours. So this is great. We're excited about it. Soccer has started. We had just under 1,700 kids participating. It's a much larger than it has been in the last couple years. Obviously not as many last year, but I think this spring number's higher than our 2019 numbers. T-ball deadline's approaching. We already have 375 enrolled. Again, that is higher than our 2019 numbers. So it looks like it's going to be a busy year. Tennis is starting in May. We already have met our minimums in those classes, so we know those are a go. We started selling pool passes to Leawood residents. I want to say last time I looked, we're just under 90 pool passes sold. So we're getting those out in the mail. It's our hope that we have a lot of people getting them online, trying to cut down on those day of lines. That way people can just scan their cards, get to the pool. And I think that is about it in a nutshell. We're off and running. It's pretty exciting.
Great.
We feel somewhat normal. It's nice to see the little golfers out there again. I always get a charge out of that. And I know Katie is very excited to get the lodge open again. I know that's been, I think, she loves weddings, and I think she's had 3 weddings since she's been here, and she's been here over a year. So we're pretty excited.
I think the Park and Rec and the offerings are going to be even more important this year. People have been shut up for so long. And I can't even imagine what that would be like with young children. I just can't even imagine. But I think people are looking for things to go do and participate in and get outside and take advantage of all that the city of Leawood offers. So I'm so glad to hear those, Kim.
That's Gary saying amen.
It's been fun. I think most of our summer camps have already met our minimums. Scott is doing what's kind of fun and more nostalgic. He's doing a rocket camp. I believe it's in July. If you ever remember the days of the model rockets, he's bringing that back. It's already full. He's looking at opening a second session if he gets enough kids for a second one. So a lot of fun ideas, a lot of great stuff. I think myself and my crew, we're just as anxious to get out there as anybody else. We're ready to go.
And big kids go to the rocket camp?
I was gonna say.
You want me to see if he can get you in, Chuck?
I used to be a rocket geek myself.
I've heard a few more of the pools are opening. Didn't I hear Shawnee was opening? Who else opening, or who's not opening? Maybe is a better question.
I
Okay,
don't know who
I've
is
got
not
my
opening.
list.
I know Lenex or Olathe is not opening their Frontier pool. I believe Overland Park's opening only 4 of their pools as opposed to 6. Prairie Villages has a limit of 400 people at a time.
So does Roland Park, I believe.
Yeah, Roland Park's opening. I saw that in the Shawnee Mission Post today. Let's see. I think pretty much everybody is opening. Some of them, and I forget which pool it was. I think we're still going to modify our concessions and just do prepackaged one more year.
Yeah.
One of the pools, I don't remember which, wasn't going to do concessions at all, and I don't think that's going to be very popular. But I think we're just going to do that again. But it seems like everybody's opening at least in some capacity, which is good.
Yeah, I was looking for me. I'm going to be giving a report, Julie, a staff report on that on Monday. So I'll know. I can tell you that we are probably going to be, Kim mentioned we're selling pool passes to residents, and we will allow residents for dailies, but we are still at this point not looking to sell to non-residents. Just because it's one way we can kind of keep the numbers down. I was kind of waiting until I was seeing what Overland Park was going to do, because that was going to be, again, a big impact on us if they weren't going to open. But since they are, that's going to make a big difference. Gosh.
You have to make a reservation online again this year.
No,
No, go ahead, Kim.
we'll have, they're not going to have to make a reservation online. They'll have a pool pass. They can come and go.
Good.
We kept that number at 150 last year, and it was a nice manageable number for what we were dealing, just for the situation, the unknowns. I think we can go a little bit larger without having to do the deep clean, having everybody leave the facility to deep clean. We will be deep cleaning throughout the day, closing down the restrooms completely for a short amount of time. And during that time, folks can always use family change when we close down them, and we won't close them both down at once, obviously. But we can still accomplish keeping the place clean and not have to clear everybody out. I think it'll be a lot more relaxed. But as Chris said, if we just sell to residents with those little bit of lower numbers, with that little bit more social distancing, I think it might be easier. Now, swim team and swim lessons, we are offering that to non-residents. As you know, we open for residents first, obviously, and then open to non-residents.
And we did that last year.
Right, yeah. And then, but as far as the daily, I think if we can keep the numbers down a little bit and it'll be a little more relaxed.
Sounds like a good medium step, compared to where we were yesterday, or last year rather. We're not full steam ahead, but we're being cautious and considerate, but smart about it, I think.
So
I just have to update my report. Go ahead, Jolene. Sorry.
I'm sorry, Chris. I was just going to ask, have you guys made a decision on the 4th of July events yet?
Well, the city administrator has put this as a request for the April 19th agenda. He wants to get feedback from the council. We have been moving ahead, so we'll know more after Monday night.
Thank you, Chris.
I thought that was decided. Has it not been decided? Maybe fireworks has been decided, but all the other hoopla isn't decided, or did I miss something? Didn't you think it was decided, Chuck?
I thought we had kind of said we want to do it this year, but
Yeah, me
maybe
too.
you're right. Maybe the fireworks we agreed to and that's a go.
Yeah.
But the food trucks and the band and all that
Yeah.
other stuff, maybe not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we'll know more because, Kim and I had talked about, again, not knowing until what's going to be discussed at the meeting. If we use buses, yeah, I mean, we'd have to have more buses because we'd have to be able to social distance people. We'd have to make sure they would wear masks on the bus. So,
But do we? I mean, really, if they're flying airplanes with masks, why would we
Yeah.
have to social distance with masks?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying we would have to. I'm just saying I think he wants to get the council's blessing on whatever the blessing might be, whether that's fireworks only. But if you look at the big scheme of things, I mean, it's like anything. You've got more people being vaccinated, people having to take responsibility, no different than when they're at the soccer fields or anything
Exactly.
else. But again, I think he wants the council to weigh in on that. So
Well, we will, won't we, Chuck?
we will. Okay.
Yeah, Julie and I are shrinking violets here. No problem.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
good.
like, let's go already. Enough is enough.
Chris, do you know
Get
what
your vaccines and let's go.
what the other municipalities are doing, like Overland Park at Corporate Woods and all the other?
I don't know about their auxiliary type of activities. I know they're planning to go. I know that Shawnee, who's on with them, Kim? Fairway, Roland Park and Prairie
and-
Village.
No, Fairway Roland Park and
Westwood.
thank you.
Yeah, they're going to do their thing at the high school again.
Liège.
So at Miege, so a lot more people are definitely doing more.
Well, Chris,
And-
it would be very helpful for Monday night if you could respond to that question, because I'm sure somebody is going to ask it.
Okay.
I was
Got
at the flower barn today in Gardner, Kansas, and it was the first time I've ever seen this sign. You guys have probably heard it, but it says, if you choose to not wear a mask, we choose to charge you double. And
Oh, I
that's where,
haven't seen that.
yeah, I hadn't seen it either. I loved it. I thought that's where my brain is. If you choose that, you are allowed to choose that, but there are consequences for that decision.
Yeah.
And to me, there should be consequences on airplanes and charging double, and you choose that, this is America, you can choose it, but there are consequences for that decision because we've got to get going here. This economy's got to get going. A lot of things have got to get going. And, I'm not saying you aren't allowed to make that decision, but there are consequences in my mind, or should be, to that decision. Because you're hurting the rest of us. That's my not so humble opinion. My very strong opinion.
I think Greg has his hand up, Karen.
Oh, yes, Greg.
I just want
Greg, go
to
ahead.
add to that. I'm just going to say this. I assume that we've all either been vaccinated or we know how to, we've gotten in the line, because all the Price Chopper pharmacies, all the Walgreens, the CVSs, they all are taking appointments. So, I mean, it is everywhere. You can get a vaccine. You want a vaccine.
Right. And there'll be people, that don't, and they are allowed to make that decision. But again, that this, in my mind, they're allowed to make that decision. But
And I might speak up and let you know that I'm in charge at Village Presbyterian Church. We're going to sponsor one on starting April 24th, and then the second one will be May 15th. And anybody that needs anything, I'll can send out an email to them for the link to sign up for an appointment. So anybody can do it down to the age of 16. So let me know.
And
that is that Moderna and Pfizer?
It's just Pfizer. Mm-hmm.
Just Pfizer?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, Karen, if you don't mind, send me an email.
Okay, I will.
I was like, I've had it.
yeah, you've had it, but yeah, but they're still advising you to get vaccinated. Yeah, you had it bad, Jolene. Yeah.
Yes. And
That's
so
right.
I was just taking my time getting my vaccination, hoping that those antibodies are working for me.
Hmm.
Yeah, I hope they are too.
I appreciate it. If you could send that to me, I'll sign it.
Do it tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay. Are we done with staff reports? Chris, do you have anything more?
I'm going to report for Brian. Brian's off today and tomorrow. Tomorrow's his birthday, so he's
Happy
doing a
birthday,
little
Brian.
RVing and fishing somewhere. So good for him. So his team right now is working on prepping the pool for opening. We talked about that a little bit, both on the landscaping end and of course the plumbing. And they've been spraying all the islands and parks for weed control. So hopefully the little dandelions that have raised their ugly heads are starting to curl up and go away. They cleaned and finished filling Geyser Pond a couple weeks ago, but they were out there pretty frequently during those windy days because all of the wipes for the carts and the receipts from Price Chopper were blowing over into the pond.
Oh.
They were aware and they just wanted to catch them and scoop, get them out of the surface before they sunk to the bottom. So they were pretty diligent about that, as they are about everything they do. So that's good. Holly, I don't want to be redundant. You spoke about all the landscaping they did? Or no?
I did not. I failed to mention that.
Well, anyway, Dustin's team have finished the landscaping at Inspiration. It's wonderful. You'll be seeing some of that growing in. The sumac has a nice red color, and they've got the salt and pepper rocks down there. Just absolutely perfect. They also planted some of the bigger, well, they're not big, they will be big, but some of those evergreens that were recommended through the master plan. And then they finished Wow. It couldn't be more perfect as far as that spot, with some grasses and some rock. And so anybody that comes out to the dedication, you'll see that. So they worked hard to get that done. They are still looking for seasonal maintenance workers. So if any of you know anyone that might want a summer job trimming and mowing, please go online at www.leewood.org, and that's where they can fill out an application. I don't have a whole lot. We've had good response to our brochure. And Camille, did you mention that you're working on that one that I see the draft on my desk for Ironwoods?
No, I didn't, but once it's done, I'll shoot it out to everybody.
Yeah, great job with Holly and Scott Gamrell and Marika and Camille. It's kind of a neat little brochure about what you can find at Ironwoods Park. So we're looking forward to getting that done. And then the only thing I have, I know some of you have been out at meetings at the golf course, and they were striping the south end of the lot yesterday, and they did the north end of the lot today, trying to get in front of the rain. The light poles are going to be set next week, and they'll finish up their landscaping. So it looks really good. It desperately needed it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of all I have to report right now that I can think of, unless anybody has any other questions for me.
I have a question for you, Chris. I know that we had talked about it, way back when we were meeting in person, but I just wanted to follow up and ask if you'd given it any further thought about putting some type of small signage on the outside of the city park with the hours, so that people will know when they're not supposed to be entering the park, like my sweet son did.
Yes, thank you for that reminder.
Because you really don't know what the hours are until you enter the park, and the sign is to the right. And and my son got pulled over by Leewood's Finest, and they did a great job. But he's like, Mom, I didn't see the sign. I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to be in there. And I'm sure that he's not the only one. And I was thinking,
no,
back to look, I'm like, well, when you pull up to the gate, there really isn't any notification of when you're supposed to be there, or and I just wanted to mention that to you, that might be helpful for other people.
No, I think that's great, and I apologize for not following up on that, but we will follow up on that in the very near future before it starts getting even crazier down there, if that's possible. Anything else?
Chris, when will you hear as to whether or not the construction company working with the foundation people, when we might get some kind of a commitment? Will we get it by the 4th of July, you think?
As far as a commitment,
Well, just, yeah, that yes,
Yeah.
they're interested in helping us with that outdoor bathroom.
yeah, Alice was hopeful that we hear something back fairly soon. She mentioned something in next week or the week after. She felt like, the person that she met with had the authority to talk with someone else, and that they were, because they also understood. They met at the site. We took them the floor plan. We showed them everything that we were going to do. They understood the engineering part of it. So I think they also understand that we'd like to get started on it. Now, of course, the foundation has the money, but they don't want to deplete their fund balance either. So, but they're also out there making asks. But the answer to your question is, we certainly hope in the next 2 weeks we'll have a commitment or not.
So you'd get the footings and the foundation for the restroom done in 21?
Yeah. So it's actually a slab. It's not, we will connect to sanitary right there on the north side, but it's a very short run. The other thing they would do for us, which again, talking about an expense, is they have to bring water from across the street. So again, they're going to have to bore under the parkway to bring
Right.
water and electricity. So it could be well over $100,000 of subs and dirt and everything, because we do have to raise that about 5 or 6 feet out of the floodplain. So we've got our fingers crossed for money and support from 3 different factors right now. So
That's an extraordinary gift then. I mean,
it would be. It would
Yeah.
be.
Well,
We
a
could
lot of
meet-
times those construction companies do that. I was working with a not-for-profit at 31st in Maine. And when they started talking about the trolley going down Main Street from the Union Station all the way down to the plaza, a lot of the businesses along there hit up the construction company, and they all got a little bit of something that on not-for-profit type stuff. And you'd be surprised how generous they are. They have good margins and all that stuff, and they can afford to do that. So
Yeah.
I think it's great that Alice is pushing on that. And if she needs any help from anybody on the council, she and Ken Selzer or whoever's pushing the thing, let us know. Julie and I and the others will be glad to put a shoulder to it.
Yeah.
Okay. I will let her know that. Thank you.
Okay. Are we ready for 5 miscellaneous? Is there anything come under there? We've kind of moved into that, I think, on its own. If not, we talk about the next scheduled meeting on Tuesday, May 11th, 2021. Everybody, it'll be a Zoom meeting again. So do I hear a motion for an adjournment?
Kim Galbraith, I move that we adjourn.
Joanne Hobb, a second.
Kim moved that we adjourn and Jolynn seconded. We'll do a roll call vote here. Okay, Gary Swanson.
Aye. Let's go home.
Greg
Let's stay home. Let's stay home.
Williams.
I vote yes.
Greg Williams.
Aye.
Okay. Jolynn Hobbs
Aye.
and Kim Galbraith.
Aye.
Meeting